Monday, December 17th, 2018. Our invocation this evening will be offered by Delbert Kerr, chaplain of Charis Hospice. If you would please stand for the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Today, may we be open to other ideas and beliefs, respect of our differences, and not be threatened by them. May we be a force for replacing fear with insight, helping us all to be present and kind as we talk. Real strength can always find compromise. Working together, may we find a common ground, enable us to move forward with a sharpened purpose. May we see what is truly important and unite us, focusing on that to banish roadblocks of ego and fear. Today, we maybe be open to others' ideas and belief. God, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Thank you, God, for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Council members Huff.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Doherty.
Here.
DeLucy.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Van Camp.
Here.
Mayor Ware.
Here. We have a presentation resolution recognizing Lisa Lilly, laboratory technician in the Water Department, as the Employee of the Month for December 2018. Madam City Clerk.
Whereas the City Employee Recognition Program recognizes outstanding performance by the employees of the City of Independence, and whereas an employee committee selects the Employee of the Month for exhibiting the qualities and ideals that best represent public service, and whereas the Employee Recognition Committee has selected Lisa Lilly, laboratory technician in the Water Department, as Employee of the Month for December 2018. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Independence, Missouri as follows: that the City Council of the City of Independence, Missouri joins in recognizing Lisa Lilly as the City of Independence Employee of the Month for December 2018.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Council members Huff.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Lisa Lilly is a lab technician, has worked for the City of Independence Water Department for 14 years. Lisa says she loves the people she works with and getting to be outside, except in the winter, and she's not a fan of the cold weather or the snow. Lisa says a goal she shoots for is helping the City of Independence get first place gold in the annual water tasting contest. On a typical day, Lisa does a lot of walking all over the water plant to collect water samples, then goes back to the lab to test everything she has collected. Lisa says the most valuable lesson she has learned in her career is patience. Outside of work, Lisa really enjoys fencing and gardening. She is very active in PTA, PTSA, and the Girl Scouts. She and her family enjoy cave spelunking, camping, hiking in the woods, looking for mushrooms and shed deer antlers, and are looking forward to teaching their 6-month-old lab puppy to help them find those antlers. Lisa thinks it's the people that make Independence a good place to live, work, and visit. Thank you for all you do, Lisa, and please join me in congratulating Lisa Lilly as the Employee of the Month. So Lisa, come up and have your picture taken. We have temporarily misplaced your resolution, but we will find it and make sure that you get it. Congratulations.
I'd wait here for it.
Yeah. It's been a little crazy the last week or so. Thank you very much. This brings us to the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Weir, I move to approve the reports and recommendations of the city manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any items any council member wishes pulled for separate consideration? Yes, Councilman Robertson.
Resolution 18821.
Okay. And I'm going to pull 18,822.
And 18,824.
Okay,
And Madam Mayor?
yes,
Number 6 and 7.
okay. Any others? Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda minus item 18,821, 18,822, 18,824, and items number 6 and number 7?
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Councilman Robertson, 18,821.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution is to postpone indefinitely the pass-through credit card convenience fees that would be charged customers for paying their utility bills. And I just, I wanted to pull this because I'm going to move it, but I'm going to ask the council to consider voting against this resolution so that those fees will go into effect. And here's the problem. The contract that we are under presently with Paymentus actually has tied us down and tied us into a position where we have to charge this fee if we're going to take credit card fees. Unfortunately, it is under contract for 2 or 3 years, I believe. And that was negotiated by our former budget director, so it's not anybody that's on staff or part of the council at this particular point in time. However, the fees that the city is charging, is being charged for those credit card fees has been absorbed by the city, and it's around $600,000 a year, which represents over 0.5% of our rate structure. So this is limiting what we can do with our rates. And it also means that the people that are paying with credit cards, which is, it's important that they be able to, but it's a very limited number of the percent of utility customers. So out of the 56,000, 57,000 customers of IPL, I believe there's only 5,000 to 7,000 that pay by credit card. Is that correct, Dan? Not sure, okay. I know we had a presentation when we had some of those numbers given to us, and that sticks in my mind. It was between 5,000 and 7,000 of the customers out of 57,000 that use credit cards. So it was a very limited number, but that means that the rest of the 56,000, 57,000 customers are helping to pay that $600,000 a year for just a few people to use the credit card fees. No other business does business that way. Banks don't do it that way. Most businesses now charge a fee, especially if there's a substantial credit card fee. And I think we by the charter, are told to run IPL and the other utilities as a business. So we have to abide by the charter, and I would ask the rest of the council to vote no on this resolution. So I'll wait until there's any other comments, and then I'll
Mr.
move
City
it.
Manager, I know when this first came before the council as we were considering the budget for 2018, I mean, we've charged you as our city manager to help find places where we can save money so that it can be, so we can put our resources where they're most needed, and this was one of the items that came forward. And it was rather confusing at the time, I know. Our management analysts did a considerable amount of work to explain this both to the Audit and Finance Committee and the council and therefore the public about the nature of these fees. This is for all transactions for the city. I mean, it's primarily paying our utility bills because that's primarily what most citizens have transactions with the city. But it also applies to other fees that may be charged to a credit card. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So about 87% of these fees that we're incurring are related to a utility bill, but other places you might incur it would be if you're paying for a permit, a plan review, something of that nature. But like I said, 87% of it's tied to a utility bill.
And I recall also that it was in the neighborhood of $600,000 to $700,000
Right.
that the city is absorbing by covering this fee for those who choose to pay by credit card for these different expenditures to the city.
That's correct. So the way I would look at it is many of our ratepayers are subsidizing a privilege used by few. And when the charge came down from the council to try to find savings to help lower the rates, this was one that was identifiable. As Councilmember Robertson said, we find many of our peers, both public and private sector, utilizing the third-party convenience fee, passing that on to those who are using it as a convenience.
Okay, and then the vendor contract that we have, we are locked into that for a period of time, but we would have an opportunity to try to renegotiate that fee.
Yes, at the Audit and Finance meeting where this was
Yeah.
discussed on Friday, I believe the Finance and Administration Director said this contract runs through 2021, but we may look for opportunities to try to restructure that and get something a little more competitive.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Mayor, I'm on the Audit and Finance Committee. Dr. Roberson is also on it, and Mr. Perkins is also on it. And we had quite a discussion on it. And I personally felt that put it off for right now, let things settle down. Let's find out how much is it for just the convenience of the utility customers versus the general population. And if it's 6,000 people within the rate structure, well then maybe we can buy out that contract and maybe not. I don't know. I just thought it's piecemeal. We're looking at a rate structure reclassification in the future anyway, so that was my thought. Just put it off.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Perkins?
we did have quite a lengthy discussion, a good give and take, and I'm of the opinion after our rollout that with our billing process, that we don't add any extra charges. We should kind of keep things as status quo and let the rate structure come out. But as of right now, I'm in favor of postponing this.
Okay. Yes, Councilman?
No, I wanted to make sure you were done.
Yeah, well, I'm going to make a motion.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is that this affords us the opportunity to renegotiate. I mean, it will stay, it looks like, until 21.
Yeah, so we're going to be locked in for the foreseeable future, absent some kind of triggering mechanism. I believe the Finance and Administration Director said, Paymentus, they have a very favorable contract.
So, and if in an imperfect world or whatever, this could go up monumentally.
There's always the possibility.
I mean, it could, within the numbers of the population and how they use it, it could be leaps and bounds by 3.
You mean what could go up is the number of users who are using credit card fees?
Exactly.
Correct. Correct.
So, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just so for a point of clarification, as I'm reading the wording here to the city clerk, so if a affirmative vote, that would pass on the rates to the credit card holder?
No.
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 Okay. So,
An affirmative vote would postpone it indefinitely.
okay.
Okay, Councilman Robertson?
So I will move resolution 18-821.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
No.
Perkins,
Yes?
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
No.
Van Camp,
No.
Mayor Ware.
No.
Fails.
18-822, I just wanted to pull this for explanation. This is a resolution that I had asked for after many discussions with our Economic Development Council and our Chamber of Commerce Public Policy Committee. This would allow for us to create an Independence Economic Development and Incentive Commission. We will be using the same appointees that this council has already confirmed for our Tax Increment Financing Commission. We certainly don't do nearly as many TIF projects as we once did, and that's for a number of reasons, and the economy being one of them. And, you know, thankfully, we don't need to incentivize people to the degree that we once did to create economic development in this city. But there's a number of other economic development tools that impact our other taxing jurisdictions. Recently, Chapter 100 has come up. We've done 353 projects, and there's others that have an impact on the school districts, the county, and the library districts, depending upon the location of the project. So after some discussion, again, with our Economic Development Corporation and Board of Directors, Management Committee, and the Chamber Public Policy Committee, I suggested this idea of creating this group who could also review those other economic development tools. This allows the taxing jurisdictions who are impacted to come and consider these projects and bring forward a recommendation to the council, just as the TIF commission would. And, you know, it helps us, I think, in a number of ways. It continues to build these strong partnerships that we have with these other entities, and understand that we all share the common goals of wanting to create economic opportunity in our city without unduly harming any one entity. And it also, I think, gives the council some assurance as we're considering these things. Exactly how does the school district feel about it? How does the county feel about it? How does the library district feel about it? So this resolution this evening would create this, this commission. As I said, the individuals who are currently serving on our TIF commission would continue to serve in that capacity, and also serve in on this commission, and they would meet as needed as we're considering these economic development incentives. So I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding this, if there are any.
I have a question for the city manager. Right now, if we have a developer who wants to come in and do a project that's not a TIF, but he wants other economic incentives like I don't know, Chapter 100 bonds, and that's going to affect other taxing jurisdictions. What is the policy, what is our procedure for asking the school districts or asking the library or asking the other taxing jurisdictions how they feel? What do we do?
Sure. Typically, the way we would handle that, Councilwoman, is to use the president or one of the staff members of the Economic Development Corporation to make the taxing jurisdiction aware of it, let them know. I would use the Spanos project that the council recently approved as an example, where there was a Chapter 100 incentive there. They were made aware that that project was coming down the pipeline. I call it walking the circuit. We go and more informally let them know this is coming, what kind of feedback would you have, anything like that. If they want to schedule a meeting, in that case they did. The superintendent of the school district that impacted came and met with the mayor and I, just to get some more details about the project and generally understand how that might be impacting the district. So it is a more informal process than what the statute requires of the TIF projects for these other incentives, but we do try to be a good partner and at least make them aware of it, though there is nothing that certainly mandates that to happen.
And the statute mandates us having a TIF commission, correct?
Correct.
Does the statute mandate us having appointed people to review these other economic incentives?
At present, no.
Madam Mayor, I just feel like it's my job to look at these economic incentives, and I'm not real comfortable delegating my responsibilities to somebody else.
I understand. I mean, I think the example that the city manager just gave really kind of amplified it for me. With the recent Chapter 100, I did meet with the superintendent of the Blue Springs School District and asked, their opinion, but there's no public hearing. There's no opportunity for the entire council unless individually they go to the effort to have that meeting with the superintendent, with the library, with the county, and I just feel that it's a much more transparent way. It's still ultimately our responsibility, just with the TIF Commission, the PUAB, the Planning Commission. Ultimately, the decision lies with this council, but I think it's another opportunity to give those partnering organizations in our city the opportunity to hear from the developer, get that presentation, have that discussion, and bring forward a recommendation to the council. And ultimately, it is, still our decision.
And maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't there a public hearing on the Spanos project in front of us?
Yes, there was, and I do want to clarify, staff reminded me, we are required by the statute at present to send a tax impact analysis to the taxing jurisdiction, so they see what that would mean from a revenue standpoint. So I wanted to make sure I got that point on the record for the council as well.
And so if we pass this, there'll be a hearing in front of other people. They will take evidence. Will it be recorded? Will it be under oath? Will it be a de novo review by us, or will we ask our own question?
It's my understanding that the resolution would function. It takes the same TIF commission and expands their responsibilities for these other tax impact incentives, and so would function in that same manner and mechanism as well.
And so what does that mean?
It means that there would be the hearing, the body of evidence would then come before the council in terms of the public testimony that was given.
Is it a de novo? Is it a new kind of hearing, or am I just reviewing what the TIF commission heard? Is it an appeal, or is it a new hearing?
At this particular body's
Right.
meeting, that would be the new hearing at that meeting.
Okay, so I can take new evidence?
At the economic incentive meeting of that
No,
group?
at
the
this council meeting.
I would have to defer to the city attorney on that one. I'm getting out of my league here.
I would have to pull the statute and take a look at it. I don't know it off the top of my head. So.
And Madam Mayor, I do understand where this council really does enjoy, we want to promote transparency. I'm not trying to make it sound like I don't, but I take my responsibility very seriously, and I don't want to delegate that to someone who was not elected to sit up here and make these decisions. So I'm going to vote against this resolution.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, I'm trying to think through what her question was. I would think we would still have to have a hearing at the city council meeting, because that's called for in the charter, isn't it?
It's not called for in the charter.
Not in the charter.
No.
Okay.
No.
But there has been in the past regulation or something in writing that says that we have to have the hearing for a TIF, correct?
For a TIF, yes.
For a
Yes.
TIF. So any of these types of things that are set up, Chapter 100, they still have to come to the council for the final vote. And don't we still have to have the final hearing?
I don't want to speculate. I don't know for sure on that. I know that it would still, as you say, it is true, it would come to the council for final consideration. You'd be getting a recommendation from this institution, yes, correct. Mm-hmm.
But like Planning Commission, they have a hearing. Only new evidence comes before us.
So,
Unless you request it.
No, only new evidence.
only new. So why don't I'm going to make a motion to postpone this until the next council meeting for consideration so we can get those questions answered on the public hearing
Thank you.
portion of it.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to postpone until January 7th. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins? Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Okay, Councilmember Huff, 18824.
Yes, City Manager, I was wondering if you could explain this pay plan resolution a little bit.
Sure, my pleasure. There are 3 different items that we are asking the council's support on tonight. One is, as you know, we've consolidated the Department of Finance with 3 other departments, the technology services, and human resources are in there as well. So what we're trying to do here, as we have the director over that, what was typically 2 other department heads, moving those down to function more like a deputy department head or division manager over that. So and here we would be having the deputy director of finance. This is a title change of an existing position. So no monetary, we are going to move that to a different pay grade, but the incumbent who's in that position is currently making a higher salary and will be negotiating within the new pay plan that was adopted by the council. So clarifying that one. The second one is just adding a position that previously existed back into the pay plan. That's the meter reading supervisor. As the council knows, has been well documented, we have quite a number of delinquent accounts. We have suspended doing delinquent account shutoffs because of the holiday season, but as we look to get caught back up on that, we believe this position would be integral towards helping us get caught up on that. This isn't a monetary impact, it's just bringing a position back on the book so that we could utilize that. And then finally, we have the very wordy title of Resource Performance and Strategic Planning Manager. That had previously been the budget manager position some time ago. I'm looking to bring this position to my office, to the city manager's office, to better synchronize the budget preparation process with the strategic plan, with performance measurement, so that we can make better data-driven decisions, so that we can have better accountability around our programs and operations throughout the year. So really taking a more sophisticated approach, not making budget just a 3-month exercise, but really a year-round activity to drive performance and data-driven decision in the organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Motion for approval.
I have questions still.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Councilmember DeLucy.
Reclassified Deputy Department Director, level 16. So you're saying that is not going to make any money changes today?
We have a process that we're going through right now to hire a position for that, an individual into that position. I do not know what the salary will be, but it is not our intent to raise the compensation beyond what is presently authorized in the pay plan, no. And I can ask the deputy or the director of finance and administration to come up if you want greater detail on that.
Well, I just don't understand. If it's not going to make a money change, why are we doing it? We just did this 2 weeks ago, guys. We just amended the pay plan 2 weeks ago, and we're doing it again, and I'm sure we're going to do it again, and it's mid-year budget. I just don't get it.
Good evening, Brian Kidney, the Director of Finance and Administration. Yes, we have a lot of moving pieces in the Finance and Administration Department.
So will
And-
reclassifying the Deputy Department Director mean any more money today?
No.
When will it mean more money?
We're not
When
look-
will it have an economic impact on our city?
Well, it currently is budgeted it's budgeted where the positions are now.
Then why are we reclassifying the deputy?
To have the one over HR, the manager over HR, the manager over tech services, and the manager over finance and accounting. They're all being referred to as deputy director HR, deputy director tech services, and director of finance.
Okay.
They're all we've established them all at the same level, 16. Currently, the positions that we have an offer right now that is well within the 16 range. The position we're looking at in the other two divisions are also well within the range of 16. The budget amount in there is higher than what we're offering. So I guess I'm not sure when you're saying.
Well, let me drive the nail through the board.
Yeah,
We, by city code, we can't change titles without the council's permission. So we're here tonight to implement the vision that I've asked Mr. Kidney to carry forward of consolidating these departments of 3 into 1 and create these deputy director, division manager level positions. This is a title change. It is a name on paper. It is
So
not,
it will
does not
have-
have a budgetary impact.
it will have no fiscal impact until we're looking at the budget for next year.
And
But it makes them all the same.
it makes them all the same.
Got it.
It brings parity across those 3 positions.
Okay.
Correct.
But no more money out of my pocket or anybody else in this city.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Second question. Meter reader supervisor. Okay, if we pass AMI, we're not going to be having meter readers, guys. Why are we doing this right before we're doing a rate study and right before the vote on AMI? I do not understand that.
Sure, I would say that we would be acting irresponsibly as staff if we acted on speculation. So I don't know what the council's intent will be on meter reading long-term. So we kind of have to make decisions based on what we know today. We've talked very, pardon me, very clearly as staff with our high ethical standards. We will let this individual know that this is a contemplation of the council, and this position may be one that will ultimately either be repurposed in the organization or, quite frankly, eliminated in the organization.
And this is a $60,000 a year job, minimum.
Yes, correct, at the minimum of the pay grade.
When are we going to deal with AMI? When is that vote coming?
Per the council's resolution, we're in the process of trying to negotiate a contract with Honeywell that we can bring for you guys to responsibly consider. I would say we would hope to have that within the first quarter of 2019.
Is there any reason not to delay this until the first quarter and after that vote?
Yeah. Hold on. We've got some 18,000 accounts that we're trying to get back into compliance. So I hate to sound aggressive, but we have got to start considering shutoffs again for those who can't get into compliance with us. So I would say this position is essential to getting that activity ramped back up.
And does our union contract prevent us from hiring somebody temporarily for 3 months to get this under control?
I would be very careful about how I answered that, but I would say yes. I don't think they would be particularly sensitive to us using temporary labor for this function.
And this $60,000 minimum salary is coming from what fund?
Power and Light Fund.
And finally, as I understand this last one, the reclassification of the budget manager, I was told a story by a city employee, and it upset me. And this is the story I was told. That this job was only advertised internally, and it was only advertised Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It closed at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, and this tentative agenda came out on Thursday, and the tentative agenda has this reclassification, which means an $18,000 increase in this job that it was just advertised for the prior 3 days at the old salary. I am very upset. I am a business person. I hire the best qualified person, and if I know I'm going to be adding more money available to hire a person, I want to just put it out there. And I don't want to just advertise to a select few and then change the pay structure. I think that's very, it looks bad. It looks like it was a done deal, and I'm upset. And so tell me that the story I was told was wrong.
Per the personnel policies and procedures of the city, we are allowed to do internal postings for a minimum of 3 days when we believe an internal candidate is best suited for the position.
How do you know it's the best candidate if you haven't advertised to the city?
Management discretion.
And is it true that it's $18,000 minimum, a minimum of $18,000 additional dollars 12 hours after the posting closed?
I'm not sure. I would have to ask our...
Well, it went from a level 11 to a level 14, didn't it?
I'm going to ask our assistant city manager who prepared this to clarify for us.
So in our pay plan, and I will refer you to the last page of the resolution, all the classifications have a lot of overlap. So if you look at level 12, for instance.
It was on a level 11.
Okay, I'm giving an example. So for level 11, for instance, it goes from 56,000 to 84,000, okay? And for the overlap, for level 14, it goes from 74 to 111. And that is throughout the pay plan, there's a lot of overlap among positions. There was an urgent matter to get this the meter reader supervisor position into the pay plan to get that hiring process initiated. We could not have done that until this pay plan amendment was approved. There were several changes that we were waiting on doing until the next scheduled quarterly adjustment to the pay plan, which would have been in March. Because of the timing of this imminent filling of this position, we took the opportunity to make these other adjustments at the same time.
So it is an increase in this position of $18,000.
It would be, there's a salary range there. So
Yeah.
whatever the position would merit within those ranges.
Thank you. Well, in case nobody can read my lips, I'm voting against this proposal.
Okay, there's then a motion and a second for Resolution 18824. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
No.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Resolution passes. Councilmember DeLucy, item number 6.
This regards our general liability insurance, and basically, we're facing a 71% increase, I think, in the cost of the premium this year. And from what I read, it looks mostly from police problems. And I wondered, number one, am I reading it correctly? And number two, if I am reading it correctly, what, if anything, are we doing to make our city safer without increasing our insurance premium?
Right, so, Councilman, you are reading it correctly. We do have an increase here, and it's a budget issue that we'll continue to manage through there as well, though the impact wasn't as severe. We budgeted with a little bit of anticipation here, so I feel pretty confident about that. I will tell you, though, more importantly, is your question about what are we going to do about it. We have not put the appropriate emphasis on risk management in the past, and not that we haven't managed it appropriately, we just haven't done our level best, I think, to be proactive, to be preventative. So we currently have an RFP out on the streets looking about bringing in some outside help to come in and help us develop a more robust preventative program so that we can figure out ways to avoid these kind of increases in the future. It's not acceptable for me or my staff, and I know not for this council, to tie up our limited resources in things like insurance that aren't providing basic services to our citizenry. So I'm very hopeful that RFP will bring back a level of sophistication and performance that we've lacked in the past, and help provide some recommendations about how we can be a little bit more aware of these issues in the future and avoid some of these issues that are driving our costs upward.
And Mr. City Manager, why is the budget amount for Power and Light so much higher than the general fund? I don't understand that. I'm looking at the last page. Almost 2 million was budgeted for the insurance, and general fund was only 625,000. I'm just curious on, that's double, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Councilman, I don't have the exact specifics in front of me, but I will tell you that oftentimes this is tied to the risk of what's associated with the work. So when you're thinking power and light, you're thinking high voltage, high risk situations, things like that. So cost associated with that could escalate that exponentially higher than some of the others. Not to say that any of these jobs are more important than the other, but insurers are looking at risk associated with the function.
Well, I'm just concerned because if it is in fact the police that are causing the 71% increase in the premium, and it's based on our loss, then why is Power and Light paying twice what general fund is? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
I'm going to go ahead and ask our I keep saying that, our finance director, Brian Kidney, to come up. Got deputy finance director on the brain.
I have a feeling there's something you're going to tell me later.
No, we're
okay. No, those are good questions. Obviously, since you're coming from you. You got to remember on the budget, we're looking at a couple things. We're looking at our risk, our liabilities, which is our liability coverage. The most of the liability coverage is coming from the general fund, which is where the police department is.
Right.
But we also have excess coverage liability, or excess coverage for liability. A general fund operation is covered. We have a limit of how much that we could ever be sued for, basically, which is $2.8 million. And then in Missouri, that's the limit, basically. Except a municipal-owned utility is not subject to that limit of $2.8 million. And so what we do for the utilities, we purchase excess liability insurance of up to $10 million in this case, which is
Okay.
actually the next item, item 7.
Right, I also.
So those costs are allocated all to the utility since they're paying all of that excess liability since the general fund doesn't need to. So there's a mix of multiple types of insurance that's going into that budget. And it's based on liability, which is the police liability, which is all general fund, which is the overriding amount. But then we have vehicle coverages, and those are spread out where the vehicles are located. And then, of course, that excess liability also then is charged just to the utilities, since they're the reason we have to have that excess liability.
They're the reason we have to have it? Well,
Yes.
it covers everybody, right?
It, most of it goes to utilities. I would have to ask Terry for sure
Okay.
if any of that at all is being referred to the general fund, but the majority of that excess coverage is for the utilities, since
Okay.
we wouldn't need more, if we didn't have the utilities, we wouldn't necessarily need more coverage than $2.8 million. But we do because we have the municipal and utilities. So we purchase excess liability from $2.8 million up to $10 million to cover the liability of the utilities. And that's, again, that next line item, or the next council action form.
Okay.
So I will point, Terry Harwick did put this together, and I think he was, I'm not sure, proud or that this is could be his last council meeting since he has put in his retirement notice. So I do want to point out that he does know his stuff. He did put in here a description of why we're doing the excess coverage on that next item, and it's all about the sovereign immunity of the city. But in Missouri, which I've learned, that doesn't work, or you don't have sovereign immunity for a municipal-owned utility, among other things.
Did you have a question?
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
So,
Sorry.
with the potential closing of the Blue Valley plant, could that have a potential downside for our risk and our liability coverage in the future?
Yeah, I think on the generation part it could, but unfortunately, they're looking at the last 10 years of lost liabilities. So it's real hard to have insurance companies say, well, you did that, so everything's great. But a lot of the liability insurance coverage is based on the expenditures. And so as expenditures go down, then many times your liability insurance will go down, including the excess loss. But it's hard to speculate on that. Picking up from what your city manager was talking about, we will be actively marketing ourselves to new insurance coverages next year. We received this in the middle of November. Kind of caught us a little bit flat-footed because there's not a lot of people, insurers that coverage municipal utilities to begin with. So we did do some shopping around, trying to find pools, if you will. We did find a pool that would cover us. It looks like next year we could come in with some lower premiums, but there was just so many interactions, especially between my department, risk management, and the legal department, risk management. MOPERM handles a lot of the third-party administration, so we would need to get a new third-party administrator to do this or bring it in-house.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of cost-benefit analysis that needs to be done, and I just didn't feel we'd be giving you a service of just saying, okay, that's lower premium, so let's go with it. We have to do our due diligence on that. We just didn't have the timing to do that. So we're hoping in the next March or April, we'll be back in front of you with the new insurance coverages.
Well, I know this is a difficult time with liability anyway, and all liability seems to be going up in this day and age that we're in right now. And I understand you know, with the police, they're in an untenable position. I mean, they're at risk every single day, and everybody has cell phones. I mean, everything is, you're liable for everything you say and do. And so it's a very, very tough time. And I would hope that our risk management training and maybe new types of risk management that we might consider might help at least with the training for our officers and help them understand the position that they're in. I don't know down the road if there's any other high-tech things that we could add. I know some departments have added the vest cameras, you know, and all those other kinds of things, trying to limit their liability, and maybe that's something that we can have risk manager look at some point in time. But it's I think down the road, it's the day and time we live, and we're going to see these rates continue to slowly inch up. And sometimes, like this year, we're going to see big steps up. So there's nothing we can do. We have to have the liability. So we have to have it.
I would like to point out to that point exactly. When you mention it's our police department, that it's police operations. We're not alone in these increases in the police liability. Everything post-Ferguson, especially in Missouri, has MoPerm, who's the carrier that we have, carries a lot of these providers, especially, or a lot of these cities, especially in the St. Louis area. So there's a lot of pressure on these rates to be going up to cover the liability for those reasons that you said.
Yes, Councilman.
The first concern is the safety of our first responders, and these are variables that go in accord with that. And I appreciate what you're doing to cover them in their, if something should happen, in the definition of wrong or right, and the risk management that you're taking. So let's give them every tool that they need, and which is what you're doing.
Absolutely. And our primary purpose for the liability is to protect the citizens financially also.
Okay. Councilmember?
Move approval of item 6.
Second. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Item number 6 passes. Councilmember, item number 7.
Move approval of item 7. Madam Mayor, I pulled it, but he answered my question already.
Very good.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Item number 7 passes. Okay, this takes us to our regular agenda. We have 2 public hearings this evening. Our first is a public hearing for the application by Veronica Villalobos requesting a special use permit to operate a tattoo business at 10418 East Truman Road. This is new information only. Mr. Scannell.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, there's no new information to report on this case.
Okay, this public hearing is closed. Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 18-121, an ordinance approving a special use permit to operate a body art service at 10418 East Truman Road in Independence, Jackson County, Missouri. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
I just have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember.
Tom, do you have any idea how many tattoo parlors we have in town?
Presently, we have 5.
That's all?
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in favor of this. I've had the opportunity to meet Mr. Bogue and have a discussion with him. He's the property manager for the location. Assures me everything will be great. I've had the pleasure of meeting the artist who has a facility just down the street. I think this is a great use for this building. I think it's one more building that's not being occupied. So I'm in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Ordinance passes. Our next public hearing is an application received from American Multi-Cinema, Inc. for a place of entertainment intoxicating liquor license for AMC Independence Commons 20, located at 19200 East 39th Street. This is a full public hearing. Mr. Scannell.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, this is a liquor license for AMC. They plan to remodel their existing facility to make some updates, which also includes a bar. So they are seeking this liquor license to do so. This application meets all the requirements of the city liquor code, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay. This is a full public hearing. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Any comments from the council? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Madam City Clerk.
Council action is requested on the application received from American Multi-Cinema Incorporated for a place of entertainment intoxicating liquor license for AMC Independence Commons 20, located at 19200 East 39th Street.
Okay, this does require 2/3 majority vote for approval due to hospital property being located within 300 feet of the establishment. Are there any comments or questions from the council? I will say the AMC came before this council, I'm going to say it was 6 or 7 years ago, and the liquor license at the time was denied. And, you know, there were reasons for it, but I want to, you know, over the last 5 years, I've had the opportunity to meet and speak with AMC and their plans for this property, and I think that we see, you know, the quality of movie theater establishments around Eastern Jackson County, around the metropolitan area, and this is, you know, certainly a trend with movies, the competition for our entertainment hours and dollars. So I'm very supportive of this. I think, you know, we've worked very diligently for many years to make sure that we create something that's really an asset to our city, that's a safe place for people to be, and you know, put us in competition with some of the other entertainment options that are around the area. So I certainly am all in favor of this application. Are there any other comments? Yes.
Being on the State Film Board and working with AMC also, everything you said, ditto. It just doesn't, to tie their hands in just this part and the competition, I'm all for it too.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Ordinance passes. This brings us to our first readings. Madam City Clerk.
The next bills will receive their first reading tonight and their second reading and be considered by the council at the next regular meeting on January 7th, 2019. Bill number 18-122, an ordinance finding, determining, and declaring the necessity of acquiring general utility easements and anchor pole easements for the substation E to substation F 69 kV transmission line rebuild, project number 7020-1603-3406. 1714, authorizing the negotiation of eminent domain proceedings if necessary, approving the plans and specifications for the project, authorizing the use of experts as needed, authorizing and directing the execution of documents and the payment of funds to property owners or others holding property rights in conjunction with the project. Bill number 18-123, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Truman Heritage Habitat for Humanity for administration of the Independence Power and Light Weatherization Program for low-income Independence homeowners in the amount not to exceed $100,000. Bill number 18-124, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the City of Independence, acting through its municipal utility, Independence Power and Light, and Google Fiber Missouri, LLC, for pole attachments. This will have no effect on any tax revenues or general revenues.
Mr. City Manager, I do want to clear something up about this since it's going to be out there for a couple weeks before we have an opportunity to vote on it. We continue to hear from citizens on a very frequent basis their desire to have Google Fiber in Independence. I just want to clarify up front before we vote on this in 2 weeks that this agreement would not bring Google Fiber to Independence, or does not predict that Google Fiber is considering Independence as one of their markets. Is that?
That is correct. Until Google Fiber comes off their position, we won't be receiving it.
Okay, so what this does, in my understanding, is they have deployed their service in Kansas City and in Raytown, and they need our poles to continue to provide the service to those two cities.
Correct.
And they're paying us what?
I believe but just a shade over $10.
$10.90 something.
Yeah.
Just a little under
Right.
$11 per
Correct.
pole.
Correct.
To be able to provide this service, but it
Yep.
will not service Independence.
That's correct.
Furthermore, it's my understanding that if I understand the state statute correctly, which we have fought diligently to change, if we were to deny this, they can do it anyway.
That's correct.
Okay, very good.
Bill number
Are
18.
there any other
sorry.
questions? I mean, we can talk about this now. We'll talk about it again, but I know when people see Google Fiber before this council, they start, you know, getting excited that maybe we are bringing this forward. So I just want to make that clear that this does not do that for Independence. Okay, Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 18-125, an ordinance finding, determining, declaring the necessity of acquiring sanitary sewer easements and temporary construction and grading easements for the Arrowhead Shopping Center Sanitary Sewer Main Replacement Project, number 703-01703, authorizing the negotiation and eminent domain proceedings if necessary, approving the plans and specifications for the project, authorizing the use of experts as needed, authorizing and directing the execution of documents and the payment of funds to property owners or others holding property rights in conjunction with the project. The next bill will receive 2 readings and be considered by the council as it is an appropriation ordinance. Bill number 18-513, an ordinance estimating revenue and increasing appropriations in the amount of $64,262.03 in the general fund, estimating revenue and increasing appropriations in the amount of $126,120.70 in the grants funds, and estimating revenue and increasing appropriations in the amount of $17,376,974.99 in various tax increment financing funds. Bill number 18-513, an ordinance estimating revenue and increasing appropriations in the amount of $64,262.03 in the general fund, estimating revenue and increasing appropriations in the amount of $126,120.70 in the grants funds, and estimating revenues and increasing appropriations in the amount of $17,376,974.99 in various tax increment financing funds. Second and final reading.
Mr. City Manager, can you just give us a little bit of an update on this particular appropriation?
Certainly. As the council's aware, we're at the mid-year of the fiscal year. This time of year also, of course, tax collections are coming due. So there's 2 things happening here. One, throughout the course of the year, we received a variety of grants that weren't known at the time the council adopted the budget. So we're estimating the revenue and appropriating it accordingly for the different grant activities. The second thing that's happening is that all of our TIF projects are generating sales tax and property taxes, and as those collections are coming due, same thing. We're estimating that revenue, we're appropriating it so we can make the debt service payments per the contractual terms of those TIF projects.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have a question, Madam
Yes.
Mayor. Mr. City Manager, the $17 million in the TIF funds,
Yes, ma'am.
is there any city money making any payment towards anything of any part of that $17 million?
No, ma'am. These TIFs are all paying for themselves at this juncture.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, ordinance passes. This concludes our regular agenda. We do have 2 citizens who have requested to speak to the council this evening. As I call you forward, if you would please state your name for the record. You will have 5 minutes. The city clerk will keep the time up at the dais. Our first is Wendy Yan, who requests to speak to the council regarding the police department's new street crimes unit.
I asked to speak last week to the city council about the crime street unit.
Could you just pull the microphone down just a little bit, please? Thank you.
I asked the council to speak, and I was denied the chance to speak about the Crime Street unit. And my problems with the unit, I heard about it from Facebook. Initially, it was going to be 4 people sitting at a desk in the police department, figuring out where crime was occurring. And my problem with that is that for the past 30 years, there was a detective unit, and then they changed their name to an investigation unit, but they did essentially the same thing. For 30 years, there's been only one documented crime that was prosecuted from that unit. By and large, the people that bring and arrest people are patrol officers on the street. In another listing on Facebook, they clarified that it was going to be 7 units, and they weren't going to be wearing police uniforms or in unmarked cars. We know from statistics and research and studies, I'm a sociologist by education, that to prevent crime, they need to see a patrol officer, needs to run around in the community in a marked car at random times. Being at a certain time doesn't delay crime that much, but it does prevent it a little bit. A desk-bound officer has never arrested a person. By and large, we need to have more patrol officers because they arrest people and meet people in their community. This isn't an effective time crew. You're going to be paying them more and doing considerably less. There's less accountability when you're not driving a marked car and dressed as a police officer, independent police officer. I think this is a waste of money because you pay patrol officers considerably less. They're not as dedicated to their assigned area as other officers are. I just think this is a waste of time and money, and you're going to go back to the same way that it was before, where you have people sitting at desk and not doing largely the work of a patrol officer. It's just not cost effective. It won't reduce crime. It's just a total waste of money. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Christopher Melcher, who requested to speak to the council. I don't see him here this evening, so we will proceed with council member comments. I will start on my right with Councilmember Doherty.
Nothing this evening, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Perkins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one item. We started our corridor cleanup today. The next phase, we started the Truman Road corridor enforcement, gateway enforcement. Started off with a great success, good weather. It was nice out. I want to thank our community development and our WPC staff joined us. So should wrap up in about 3 to 4 weeks, and just another phase in trying to beautify our gateways and entranceways.
Very good. Councilmember Huff.
I have nothing this evening.
Councilmember Delancey. Nothing. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mayor. Since this is our last meeting before Christmas, I just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Van Camp.
I was privileged to play in the first annual table tennis tournament at the Truman Auditorium Memorial, where I took dead last in almost everything, the doubles. I've never lost a doubles match. My partner, on the other hand, no, it's quite an event, raised a lot of money, and had people come to our fair town from abroad, all the way from Topeka, I believe. And it was wonderful to see people who could really play the game. And Feliz Navidad.
So Councilman Van Camp and I were partners in table tennis in the Municipal Challenge.
I didn't lose that one either.
And I noticed you didn't invite me to come and participate in this tournament. We even had matching outfits. We looked good. We didn't play good. Yeah, right. But we looked good. This is our last This is our last meeting of 2018. I too want to just extend to our community best wishes for a safe and happy holiday. Be very careful of all those excited children who will be out of school, and pay extra close attention to them. We certainly have had a year of challenges. We've had a year of some tremendous successes. The council met for our annual strategic planning session several weeks ago to set our priorities for 2019. Of course, we have 74 items in our strategic plan, all geared towards the goals that this community has put before us. Many of those are completed. 40% of those were completed in the first 2 years, which is just, remarkable progress. Many are begun and ongoing, and some are yet to be started. The city manager will be putting together our priorities for 2019 based on the council discussion, but I can give you a hint about what some of those are going to be. Police, we were able to hire 5 police officers, new police officers last year to, partially to create this street crimes unit, which I think will have a big impact on the types of crimes that most irritate our citizens, which are petty, persistent crimes. Infrastructure continues to be a top priority for our citizens. The quality of our streets, the quality of our sidewalks, the lack of sidewalks, and those are going to be big challenges that we're going to have to strategize solutions to. Historic sites, particularly the Independence Square, is the heart of our city, an area of our city that everybody seems to be very connected with, and certainly we have a big town, but maintaining the character and the quality of our historic square and our other historic sites around the city will be another key focus for 2019. And of course, last and not least, everybody's favorite, electric rates. Our council committee on utility rates met last week. That consists of myself, Councilmember Huff, and Councilmember Van Camp. I thought we had an outstanding presentation by Mark Randall, several citizens who came and attended, and I thought the discussion was very, very productive. We will be meeting again tomorrow afternoon at 12:30. 12:30, we are meeting up in the council conference room. The elevator will be open, the doors will be open. We have a lot going on before the holidays get wrapped up, so space is kind of at a premium. We will be discussing the capital budget for Independence Power and Light, and I know this entire council and our staff is very focused on right-sizing our electric rates to provide the cleanest, most reliable, most competitive rate to our customers. So we'll continue to work on that, and as always, we continue to reach out to our community for your input, and I, for one, want to thank you for the privilege of serving as your mayor for another year, and looking forward to 2019. Mr. City Manager.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned.